After the Kharg Island attacks against Iran, it looks like that a new chapter of escalation has been added as far as this war is concerned. Iran officially has already blamed UAE for allowing its bases or allowing its territory to be used for this attack, but UAE officially has not said anything on that count yet. However, if you look at this report that has come out in Wall Street Journal, it looks like that the Houthis in Yemen are also planning to open a new front. Strait of Hormuz is already giving a tough time to the world as far as supply chains are concerned. If another point is opened, another choke point is opened, what will that really do to the shipping industry, to the supply lines across the world, to the consumer who are depending on the commodities? I caught up with a group of experts from the shipping industry here in UAE to understand the challenges, the possible solutions, and the mood currently. So with the crisis in Strait of Hormuz, how is the shipping industry really reacting? What is the impact? Joining me are members of the industry, all kinds of voices represented here. There are representatives from the vessel owners, there are representatives from the legal aspect, also those who have personal experience of being there, dirtying their hands, so to say, knowing what the nitty-gritties of this industry is all about. So let me begin, you gentlemen. Just give me your name and help me understand. You're part of the industry. You have your own vessels there in the sea at the moment. How has the last 2 weeks been?
Just to introduce myself, my name is Shailesh. I'm working here as a Chief Operating Officer. My company name is Best Choices in SPM Shipping. We are one of the world's largest cash buyer and we are a ship owner as well. So we see the market end to end, right from recycling to cash buy to ship owning as well. The market has been a bit different. In the last 2 weeks, you see it has moved a lot. But if you see from different perspective in terms of where it's heading into, no one knows. No one knows where it's heading into.
Let me understand. 2 weeks ago, I was told that you had vessels there in Strait of Hormuz and they came out just in time. What really went through your mind when the first missile struck? Lucky?
Yeah, it was never planned. We were not aware of this, but it just was the right timing. And yes, you used the right one. We were quite lucky.
And today, what's the situation like? Even if I don't talk about your company specifically, there must be vessels still struck there. What is the conversation that is happening on, say, your bottom groups or WhatsApp groups or over calls? How is the industry really reacting? Some of the concerns you can share.
Yeah, I think it's more or less sensitive. We don't see much movement. The moment, whatever you see, a number of Indian vessels, which have said it were more political driven rather than driven by the ship owners. So at this stage, as a ship owner, you always prefer to be safe. Whoever are operative from those zones, they need to just follow the political advice rather than anything in it.
Right. Sir, if you could introduce yourself and just help us understand your experience, where are things at this moment as far as the industry goes? How crucial, how critical, what are the critical aspects?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. My name is Zarir Irani. I've been here 22 years in the UAE and of which 19 years of work as a marine consultant, running an operating company called Constellation Marine, which principally addresses insurance companies as their main service providers for casualty claims and disaster management, and of course finding out the cause, nature and extent of any incident that occurs. Also, I've sailed for 14 years, including being in command of ships. So let me tell you that the biggest worry out of this incident is not commercial. It is human related. There are people on board ships which are worried. Their families are worried. I represent the Nautical Institute, which is the voice of the seafarer in the IMO. We have a seat at IMO as Nautical Institute. And I can tell you that no crew members are ready to come and join ships which are in the Arabian Gulf at the moment, which puts ships, because ships don't run by themselves, they have to be run by a captain and officer and crew. So this is, I think, to be addressed first and foremost, because families are worried, people who are on board are worried. You can take a warrantless insurance and you can enjoy a property. What about lives on board?
But you, from the legal side of it, you're seeing the legal side of it as well. Help us understand, currently, I mean, we've figured out the aspect of the crew, we've figured out the aspect of the vessel owner. What about the consumer? In terms of commodity, in terms of, oil prices, of course, we all know it's a big issue currently. How are you seeing these consumer-related issues at the moment.
Right. Thank you. I'm Nijoe Joseph. I'm the Executive Director of Montjasa Partners. We are a boutique maritime trade and transportation law firm. I've got over 2 decades of experience having brought up in the UAE, so my experience is big cold living here. However, as a transportation lawyer, this is first ever instance that we have seen, at least I have seen this sort of a disillusionment in the industry up close, because it's right next door. And as Captain rightly put, the human cost of this is quite high. But when we come to the consumer side, on top, when we talk about cargo owners and the charterers sort of concerns, there's predominantly like 3 questions that everybody asks. First, who is responsible? 2, what are my rights? 3, who pays? So when you put these 3 questions together, you get what is the trappings of either a settlement or a dispute.
We're already in week 3 now, heading towards week 3. If this ball is to drag on for another 2-3 weeks, generally speaking, what is the impact that you are assessing for UAE, for India, for the world at large, as far as shipping is concerned?
So the difficult question to answer, because it's a very evolving situation. We don't know what will happen the next day and the next 2 weeks or next few months down the line. As far as we are concerned, we constantly evaluate the situation. We look into what are the risks they are being exposed to, how we both to mitigate in place. When we started, we were not aware whether we'd be able to continue operating from our office. Then we, as I mentioned, the way the leadership has provided comfort, we are operating full-fledged from office. Same happens to our vessels as well. Our vessels are very well secured, very well operating. As Nijoe mentioned, you have to look into more risk. As one term mitigates, they're exploring it, but again, the opinions have gone up. So we have to see cost-value analysis, what political instability is taking place at this stage, and how the government is helping to avoid those. Those things you have to assess on an ongoing basis.